Hello, Wooster. It's your broadcasters,
Zach Barenbrock.
and Michael Scarpelli here with your daily news.
We start off today's discussion by talking about the two new issues that Ohioans voted on and passed recently. The first one is Issue 1, legalizing abortion in a Republican-conservative state, and the second is Issue 2, which is the legalization of marijuana. My favorite. Issue 1 is a more liberal policy, and Issue 2 is a policy of the younger generation. 56.6% of voters voted yes for Issue 1, while 57% of voters voted yes for Issue 2 during last month's election.
Since Roe v. Wade was overturned in June of last year, voters have backed abortion in 6 red states, such as Kansas and Kentucky. Ohio is the 7th now that Issue 1 has passed. With the passing of Issue 2, Ohio now becomes the 25th state to legalize marijuana, with more on the way as it's an initiative on many 2024 ballots.
The proposed law would allow Ohioans aged 21 and older to possess 2.5 ounces of cannabis in any form except extract and 15 grams of extract. They could also grow up to 6 plants individually and no more than 12 in a household with multiple adults. Products would be taxed 10% on top of Ohio's sales tax.
That is low compared to my home state, Brock. Illinois, it's 40%.
The revenue would go towards a cannabis social equity and jobs program, municipalities with dispensaries, a state fund to combat substance abuse, and administrative costs. The law will go into effect December 7th.
Although marijuana would now be legal, smoking marijuana would fall under the state's smoking ban. That law prohibits people from smoking plant material in enclosed areas open to the public. There are exceptions for outdoor patios, smoke shops, and hotel rooms designated for smoking. Public use beyond that is less clear. Under the proposal, using marijuana in public areas would land someone with a minor misdemeanor. But it also says property owners and any public place could decide for themselves whether to accommodate marijuana use. Both issues have been pushed heavily, with both issues bringing in around $100 million each. Specifically, the Ohio Catholic Diocese has spent $1.7 million against Issue 1, and other anti-abortion organizations raising around $36.6 million. About 93% of that came in from PACs, such as the Concord Fund and Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America. Just 2% came from individual donations.
The pro-abortion rights side raised $58.3 million. About 60% was from political action committees like the ACLU, the Open Society Policy Center, and the 1630 Fund. That is a lot of money.
There's a lot of money.
Potentially setting records for issues in Ohio. With the passing of Issue 1, abortions are now allowed up until 24 weeks, which is about 5.5 months, with allowing doctors to save patients' lives.
President Biden has responded to the passage of Issue 1, saying, quote, Ohioans and voters across the country rejected attempts by MAGA Republican elected officials to impose extreme abortion bans that put the health and lives of women in jeopardy. This highlights the increase of polarization we have seen in recent years, especially because abortion is a highly polarized topic. Polarization is the divergence of political attitudes away from the center towards two ideological extremes.
Abortion has been a hot button topic to fuel polarization since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, with members on both sides of the aisle pushing their agenda. As previously mentioned, Ohio is the 7th red state to pass abortion rights into law, along with Kansas, Kentucky, Montana, Wyoming, and finally Iowa.
This is contradictory to what you might think, based off what you see, based on a map of the 2020 election, where former President Donald Trump enjoyed an 8-point lead over current President Joe Biden in Ohio. Philip Converse characterized this in his work back in the 1950s.
He found that ideologues, or people who contained ideology, are only approximately 3% of the population, along with 12% being near ideologues.
45% of voters were deemed as group interest voters. These are people who vote typically along party lines, no matter what. Moreover, most people do not know or understand ideological terms and what they mean.
Kinder and Calmo confirmed that this is still true with their research in 2018.
As we have learned in class, most people vote along party lines, whether you are a fisherman or a teacher or a politician. Party ID has become a social identity group in America, where Democrats may not be able to be friends with Republicans and vice versa.
So, this begs a larger question. Why are conservative states passing abortion laws?
Converse proved that people do not hold ideology. Therefore, will vote against the party if they are swayed and do not know the proper course of action.
This sway can be shown by the sheer amount of money that was fed into this election in ad campaigns and other ways to influence voters. Ultimately, the pro-abortion side raised $12 million more than their opponents, which carried that side.
Many people also credit Republican suburban women, who tend to be more in favor of abortion than their Republican counterparts. Marijuana and Issue 2 is a completely different animal, with most Americans supporting the legalization of weed, 68% to be exact.
50% of Republicans and 83% of Democrats support the legalization, according to recent Gallup polls. Marijuana is viewed as a less partisan issue than abortion, so broad public opinion often sways the influence more than party.
Without the influence of a partisan telling the average American what to vote on or think about the issue, people have their community and other social groups to lean into.
Moreover, people understand and recognize that there's a steady stream of marijuana coming from Michigan as they have weed legalized.
Instead of adding to the issue, Ohioans have figured out, and this was laid out in many ad campaigns, that they can benefit from the increased tax revenue that nearby states such as Michigan and my home state, Illinois, have experienced and enjoyed. Shot of water.
In summary, broadly speaking, Americans are innocent of ideology, according to Converse. Sure, they might toe the party lines in a general election and on key issues,
But they do not know what the party thinks on non-political issues such as marijuana. Even on key issues, they do not always know. As we have seen in 7 red states who have passed pro-abortion laws.
That is all for tonight, folks. See you next time. That completely caught me off guard.